Dormail, home of a great night's sleep.
To go back to drama school, you know, having been dissecting fish the week before, to go to drama school and have conversations in all seriousness about jazz shoes.
There's nothing more important than a jazz shoe.
Cheers! Cheers!
Hello.
So today
Harriet.
is International Wonderbirds Day, and the reason is?
Well,
Harriet?
because I'm devoted to International Wonderbirds Day, I've taken a flight out to Dubai, which is why I have a paper cup.
Oh, look at you, you
Oh
traveller.
my goodness. Do you know, Harriet, I've heard that they've got a secret garden there. Have you visited the secret garden?
No, dear, is that a euphemism?
Oh, it's actually the magic garden, I think.
I don't know what it is, dear, but it's certainly very amazing.
Yes.
And fascinating.
Is it
Wow.
The big,
Is it
and there's
very
the
hot?
big, very hot, but not too hot, because
Okay.
it's beginning to cool down now. But they've got Expo 2021 here,
Oh,
from all the countries in the
wow.
world. So I'm going to get,
Oh.
and I last went to an expo in Expo 67.
Oh, I saw. You
Um,
must have been a child.
Yes,
I was.
hardly born.
Yeah, I'm only saying that so you can't tell anyone else. I'll deny
No.
it if anyone else says anything.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
so I'm doing that. But yeah, I'm out here doing some consultancy and some coaching. So it's good.
You may want to stay there forever.
You'd like me to keep away, wouldn't you, Sherry?
Yes.
Well, actually, I think we should all join you, darling. We should all
Yes,
I
but
come
she's
love
got, to
that.
come back. She's got to come back to Woking. I mean, let's be honest here, haven't you?
I do. There's Panto. I have to be back to Panto. It's true.
Oh,
Oh, no, you don't.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
you
yeah.
Oh,
do.
yes, I do. It's behind
Anyway.
you.
Anyway, girls, we have one of my favourite people and from one of my favourite shows, actually. Would you welcome, please, the wonderful Will Beck, who plays Dylan in Casualty. Hello, Will.
Here he is.
There you are.
Hi.
I will.
Hello
Hello.
there.
How are you?
Very good indeed, thank you. How are you?
Oh, we're fine. It's all the better for seeing you, my darling, and my girls send you all their love. We always have a big snog fest, don't we, every time we see each other?
Oh dear, Will, I will
Well, it
get
has to be, I'm
security.
afraid.
Will, I will get security. I can keep her away. Don't worry.
No, I was talking about my daughters and him, not me. I just look on.
I know
That
you
sounds
were.
even worse,
I know
doesn't
you
it?
will. Yes.
Mhm.
So Will, welcome back, and tell us. I mean, I just love the character of Dylan in Casualty. I really do, because he's so autistic and weird and wonderful. Do you, isn't he? I mean, I was just telling the girls, I think he's such a clever character, don't you?
Well, do you know, I think more than anything, just having been in the show for so long, he's kind of accumulated. I've had to incorporate each writer's decisions, you know, and to try and kind of blend them without making any sudden lurches from one side of the spectrum, if that's the right term, to the other, means that he's kind of assumed a sort of complexity without me having to do very much. And it was just a brilliant character in the first place. I was so lucky, and he fitted very easily around somebody that I knew very well. And somebody that I didn't feel would be too compromised by taking to the nation. I put it in rather grand terms.
Did they know it was them?
No, I think it's fairly safe to say they probably don't watch very much television. But other people, one or two people, have guessed. It's quite interesting though. The funny thing about acting, it's quite common, I think, for young actors to aspire to, whether it be De Niro or Brando or Gary Oldman or Dean Gaffney, whoever it might be, that what one imagines is that to kind of try and do a carbon copy of that would look phony. But it's amazing, actually, people just don't notice. And so, I mean, I thought I was doing a really broad caricature of this guy. And the truth is that it just doesn't come across. It's unfortunate, or fortunately, of course, Dylan is about my height. He's about my colouring. And that's disguise enough. So yeah,
Yeah.
no, but I it's just brilliant, and being put in a strange position of now being a clinical lead is, you know, what we call it in the show, but it's kind of amounts to, I suppose, being captain of the team. It's just such an unlikely role for Dylan to have found himself in, that I've now incorporating that. That's just been the best.
And the reason why he's clinical lead was so lovely, because that was on Saturday, you know, for his mate, for his friend. And I just thought that would be the only reason that would have turned him. I mean, something as ridiculous as that.
Well, I mean, they're the challenges that are kind of unique to continuing drama, that because you don't know where the story's going when you take the job.
And neither do they.
Yeah, no, and you can't, I mean, in all honesty, although it's very common to try at first, what you can't really do is rock up on set or in a production meeting and say, I don't think my character would really do this. They say, well, you know, with the script mate.
There's the door.
Looks like he does, yeah. And so you are obliged to kind of adjust your palette and your canvas as you go along. And it just comes, you end up with these really strange, but you know, if you embrace them, really exciting results.
Brilliant.
I must say, I just was, when I was reading about your medical background, which of course now you're in a medical show, and it's been 2 years since acting has died. I mean, it must be extraordinary now to be in a show with such a medical background. I mean, does it help? Has it helped you in every way?
Yeah, no, I mean, it helps. It helps in the sense that I think, in medical terms anyway, I was brought up in a medical family, not you know, I don't want to kind of conjure an image of, you know, like generations and generations of doctors. My dad, though, is a doctor and an epidemiologist. So my thinking about how the world works is kind of framed, you know, through his eyes, like we do with our parents. And so I understand, on the whole, I understand the things that we cover in the show. I understand the treatments that we do, stuff like that. But I would say, I mean, over the last 2 years, one has just got to be so grateful to have had that regularity of work. Prior to the pandemic, I know that I had friends who I was at medical school with who were struggling to find work.
Yeah.
And it seemed a peculiar role reversal that, having given up that to do acting, you know, I was in secure work pretending to be a doctor, and there they were, real doctors struggling for work. I think it's fairly safe to say that, yeah, the tide has turned.
And it's been a strange world for the medical profession, hasn't it, these last 2 years? I mean, what the hell has gone on? I suppose we'll look back in history, won't we? And we will know the truth eventually, what has gone on.
One hopes so. I think, I mean, if conversations with my dad or anything to go, I'd say what the medical profession and science in general has been kind of thrust into this position of almost being a new religion. You know, it can't be gainsaid. In questioning it is difficult because the people who are giving you the information automatically know better or know more about what they're talking about than you can do without their level of training and experience. And at the same time, it's a rigorous discipline. You know, it is on the whole matters of binary decision making. You know, you must or you must not do this. And for me, I think the loss has been, I mean it in the loose, I mean it in the most apolitical sense, the loss of the liberty of decision making, and in a way the loss of one's ability to judge risk for oneself. And I speak as somebody who had COVID and was hospitalized for quite a while in January.
Really?
Yeah, no, I was close. But then my son, I've got twin boys, and one of my sons was then hospitalized as well with this syndrome called PIMS, which is apparently incredibly rare. And you know, I looked hard at COVID, and you know, I've had a year of it. I'm still not sure that the degree to which we're living in fear of it is appropriate.
I also think we're living in total, utter confusion. And I think that's what brings on the fear. Because nobody knows when people tell you things, you are now questioning it. Before, at the beginning of the pandemic, there was no question. Now they go, whoa, stop, hang on a minute. What are you saying? I'm not sure I believe you anymore. That's what it's brought, and that's what's bringing the fear, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's quite interesting having for the last couple of weeks, for obvious reasons, having had the news agenda shift onto the environment.
Yeah.
I think it's possible to see the parallels between the two. And I do wonder sometimes whether there isn't just a kind of a certain level of fear and doom that we're being encouraged to live with in a way that life is about living, not just about existing.
And the future, it's about hope in the future.
It is.
And that's what's not being given to us is hope. It's all doom laden, you're right, absolutely.
And it's why our industry is so important, I think. Sorry.
And also, Will, I was going to say to you, when you said parallels, there are parallels between the medical profession and acting. I mean, you go into theatre to do an operation. My brother trained as a doctor, and I was training as an actress, and we used to compare notes. I mean, what was it like when you actually went? You decided to give up the medical profession, and you went into because you trained at the Poor School, didn't you?
Yes.
What was it like?
The Poor School. It was very different from medical school. I mean, I couldn't at first. I couldn't believe, because I had no experience of the show business, the theatre or anything like it. And I was amazed to find that you had to train to be an actor, or even that you could, because I'm still broadly of the opinion that the best actors in the world are kids. When you're a toddler and you've got on, your mum's shoes or your dad's coat, and
dress up.
You totally imagine that that's who you are. I mean, there's no more immersive acting than that. So to go back to drama school, having been dissecting fish the week before, to go to drama school and have conversations in all seriousness about jazz shoes.
There's nothing more important than a jazz shoe. Can we just say there is nothing more important than a jazz shoe?
It's funny.
The process was one of just kind of liberating yourself from those expectations of achievement and being able to engage with things that seemed otherwise to be frivolous in a way that was quite serious, so that you could really get the message through to people. And that's art. And the enjoyment was because I'd found what I really loved. And one tries to maintain that without, I've been at it for hundreds of years now, and it's a relief to find that I'm not jaded by it.
Well, that's brilliant.
That's wonderful.
By now.
Yeah, and you have no regrets. You had no regrets when you changed.
Absolutely no regrets whatsoever.
And that's amazing.
And nor does the medical profession, let me tell you.
Yeah, I'm going to say.
Can I take you away? Can I take you away from the medical world and the theatrical world, but yet combining them slightly? In your work as an actor, in Casualty, you have a dog, but in real life, we have Dustin.
Yes, Dustin Brown.
Dustin Brown. Oh.
I was hoping for Hoffman, but that didn't happen. Tell us about Dustin, darling. What is he? What kind of dog is he? Because we're all dog maniacs here.
I would love to tell you about it, and I would love to show you Dustin, but unfortunately Dustin doesn't live with me anymore. But because, in the first instance, because twin boys, and Sprocker Spaniels and twin boys are not easy bedfellows.
No,
dear.
Literally or metaphorically. And Dustin as a result, went to live with my best friend's aunt, who'd recently been bereaved of a hound.
You still see him though, and he's
oh
still
yes, and
your boy.
he's like all sprockers. Somebody's put the batteries in a long way up, and you just can't get them out. So, and there's no off switch. So he is the most energetic, the hairiest, and now the most fabulously Scottish Dustin that probably has ever been.
How old is he, darling? How old is he, and how old are your boys? Yeah,
he's 10, or no, yeah, no, he's 10, so 70 in hound equation, and my boys are 7.
I do remember, and I don't know if any of the girls have shared this. When I was walking my dog, and I was then in my 50s, and I remembered for one fleeting moment I was the same age
the dog
as my dog, but it was only very fleeting, and then he leapt ahead.
I remember that in the Golden Girls many years ago, there was possibly one of my favourite lines ever, where Rose said, "Oh, is it Blanche or Rose?" They were talking to each other, and she said about this young man, she said, "Oh my God, he's only 5 years younger than me." And Blanche turned around and said, "What in, Rose? Dog ears?"
Yeah. Brilliant.
Exactly. A Golden Girls. Oh, well, it's been lovely to have you on our show again. I'm so grateful that you coming. Actually, it's you and Bob Barrett, our 2 doctors. And what do you think about Holby finishing?
Oh, it's just enormously sad. I mean, and kind of
Tragic,
a shock,
isn't it?
really. I mean,
and why?
The honest answer is I'm not sure that anybody really knows. I think it seems to be more about a kind of paper logistics than anything else, and moving shows away from London. You know, it's like, obviously, you know, the more shows that we can make with as much variety as possible. But it seems a shame to have lost something like that. I wonder if they might be able to reboot it independently. You know, I think there's so much experience on our show, you know, just accumulated experience of years and years and years, and a lot of people who've got a lot to offer. So let's really hope that someone comes up with a way of, I don't know, reimagining that.
Yeah, well, you know, actually, Tony McHale, as you written, he wrote the Wonderbirds. We had a Wonderbirds,
Dead Agent,
and he's writing another one. And of course, Matt McHale is your producer, isn't he?
Oh yes, I know Matt very well. In fact, I'll be seeing Matt this afternoon.
Well, will you send Matt my love?
I will, and no doubt I'll be sending it back.
Oh, thank you.
Come on again, Will.
I'd love to. Yeah, I enjoy it enormously.
Come on again.
Thank you
We'll
so
see you
much.
very soon. We'll be sending you a little Wonderbirds gift like we did last time. So thank you, darling.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lots of
Bye,
love.
Will.
Darling,
Bye.
bye.
Bye. Oh,
I haven't received a gift.
he's lovely.
You should have
Excuse me.
received them. No, he'll get a
Do we
little
receive gifts?
Yes.
No, it's not for
Every
women
show?
of your age.
No, we have to
This
send
is the
them out.
thing.
Don't even start with me about age, please, ladies.
So, darling, are you going to be able to go shopping in Dubai?
I don't know, darling, to be honest.
It's the
'cause I'm
biggest
working flat
mall
out.
ever, apparently. The biggest
Have
shopping
you
mall.
been? Have any of you been here?
No.
Yes,
No.
I actually, the first time I went was in the sort of the late 80s when it was,
Oh,
there was
wow.
nothing there. There was nothing there, about 4 hotels. And now it's,
Yeah.
but actually we do have another surprise, because as it's International Wonderbirds Day, the wonderful Mark Curry, who is giving us a little travelogue today. It's a new little Wonderbird segment. I nearly said Wonderbirds Orange because of Sherry, but we have a new Wonderbird segment. We have Mark Curry, who is giving us a wonderful travelogue of northern Spain.
San Sebastian is a resort town on the Bay of Biscay. It's famous for 2 fantastic beaches, its quaint old town, and first-class restaurants. We're talking food, and that's where we're heading now. So we're now in the old part of San Sebastian, and it's just tremendous. So many shops which are open till very late, so many places to eat. And what San Sebastian is famous for is something called a pincho or pinchos, and that's like tapas, but it's on skewers. So you get a piece of salt cod or fresh prawns or some meat skewered on a piece of beautiful bread. A little bit of beer, a little bit of red wine, not too much. It's all about the food. So many places to choose from. Let's go this way. So this is a very light lunch because tonight we're going to really hit the town of pinchos and everything. But we've got to hit our bocarones, which are anchovies. Some of them are salted, like this one here. Some of them are unsalted, like this one here. We've got the bread, of course, fresh bread. We've got some beautiful spicy olives. Olives apparently. We've got the beer. We've got the water. Keep hydrated because it's 27 degrees today in October. I love San Sebastian. Well, when the weather is as good as this, the best thing to do is to get out on the water. This is marvellous. We're in the Basque Country, of course, that's where San Sebastian is. And the Basques were famous for sailing. In fact, the first person to sail around the world was Juan Sebastian Elcano. He wasn't from San Sebastian, but he was from the Basque Country. So we're going to sail around, we've got a few beers, a little bit of wine. This is the life. Suddenly the driver of the boat has decided we need to get back to dry land very quickly because we're all absolutely starving and there's a sunset in about an hour's time. Over it time, please. On the Pinchos Trail in San Sebastian, we've now reached Bar Tamboril. Look at it, beautiful padron peppers, just amazing. We've got a gorgeous tomato salad here with fresh onion on top. This is interesting because this is a potato with a little bit of asparagus on top. Here we've got tuna with egg, then we've got ensaladilla rusa, which is Russian salad, beautiful tuna, potato salad, and peppers. And then we've got fresh prawns and salted anchovies. And then we've got these, which are lovely peppers again with fresh local olives and salted anchovies too, all washed down with white wine or beer. We could be here quite a while, a lot to get through, so just fabulous. I've reached probably one of the most famous restaurants in San Sebastian. It's called Gandarias, and this is just the first helpings. We've got some lovely goat cheese on there. We've got some little hamburguesas, little hamburger things. We've got things with tomato, all on the bread. Pinchos, see the pincho? That's the pincho bit, the skewers. Absolutely lovely. Washed down with a little rioja, of course. Absolutely wonderful. You've just got to come and sample all this wonderful food. What a wonderful place to have coffee. I've taken the funicular because the weather's good today and we're overlooking Concha Beach down there. That's the whole view of San Sebastian. A little bit misty today, but oh, what a place to have your coffee. Designed in 1997 by designer Frank Gehry, this shimmering titanium spectacle is the Guggenheim Bilbao Museum. People come to Bilbao and don't even go inside, they just walk around the outside of the building. It's so spectacular. And the shapes, which sometimes resemble fish or maybe boats, actually change colour depending on what time of day you have a look at them. And of course, depending on the light, it really is spectacular. As you're walking around the very narrow streets in the Casco Viejo in Bilbao, suddenly you come across this, which has been completely invisible until now. It's the 14th century Catedral de Santiago, the oldest church in Bilbao. And if you look at the clock tower, it's 1 o'clock. Time for lunch. Just around the corner from the Catedral Santiago is one of the oldest bars in Bilbao. Little lunch, not all for me, I am sharing. Beautiful tomato salad with red onion, tiny sardines, dribbled with olive oil and sea salt. And this is bocata de calamari, so calamari in there. Quite a lot of bread with beautiful mayonnaise, picante, a little bit of tangy mayonnaise. All washed down with caviar, a small rainbow. Cheers! In order to say farewell to fabulous Bilbao, I've ridden on the funicular, which dates back to 1915, for this breathtaking view of the city. A city that's surrounded by hills and mountains. And I really hope you've enjoyed this whistle-stop tour of San Sebastian and Bilbao. It's been a culinary delight. The weather has been fantastic. And I'm going to leave you with a close-up view of why most people come to Bilbao. Look at the Guggenheim. Hasta la vista!
Spain.
Good night, Miss Spain.
Take me to Spain.
Sherry,
Oh, please don't start talking about Benidorm. Please don't start her on Benidorm, dear. We've had that before. Can we move to Friday?
Yes,
Who's
Friday.
coming in on Friday?
Lucy Speed. That's a good name. Speed.
Yeah.
So we said
Fantastic.
there's
I love her.
loads and loads of stuff. She's a beautiful girl, lovely, lovely
Yes.
lady, and she's joining us. She's married to the most gorgeous man. Have you seen him?
Oh, is she?
Security, security.
Sorry,
Security.
obviously the hormones are rising today.
Keep your hands
Will
off.
Beck and Mark I don't know what's happened to me. Bye.
Friday.
Bye.
Dormail, home of a great night's sleep.